on January 19, 1807, and was the fifth son of the Revolutionary War hero Light Horse Henry Lee. He attended West Point and graduated second in his class. After graduating, Lee married Mary Custis, a descendant of Martha Washington, and they had 7 children. After graduating from West Point, Lee spent 17 years in the Army Corps of Engineers and served in the War of 1846 with Mexico, earning the rank of colonel. From 1852 to 1855, Lee served as the superintendent of West Point. Then, in 1855, took a position in the cavalry where he helped suppress John Brown's raid at Harper's Ferry. In April 1861, President Lincoln offered Lee command of the Federal forces. Lee declined this offer and took the general position of the newly formed Confederate Army. His first engagement of the Civil War was at Cheat Mountain, Virginia, on September 11, 1861. Lee served as the military advisor to President Jefferson Davis until June 1862, when he took command of General Johnston's Army of Northern Virginia. Under Lee, this army became the most famous and successful of the Confederate armies. Lee's major battles include Antietam, Chancellorsville, Fredericksburg, and Gettysburg. After his defeat at Gettysburg, Lee offered his resignation to Davis, but it was denied. On April 9, 1865, Lee surrendered to Ulysses Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, Virginia. Lee went on to become the president of Washington College, now called Washington and Lee University, and remained there until his death in October 12, 1870. Lincoln and Grant forgave Lee, which is why he wasn't hung as a traitor at the end of the Civil War. Lee, who suffered from heart disease, had a massive stroke in October of 1870 and died on October 12th. His last words were, "Strike the tent." You can visit Lee's Arlington house, where he lived for 30 years, in Arlington, Virginia. The grounds of this house is now the Arlington National Cemetery. Robert E. Lee was best known for leading the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Although the South lost, he is still venerated as a heroic figure, especially in the South. Some fun facts about Lee. Robert E. Lee was 5 feet 10 inches tall. He was Episcopalian and is now buried in Lexington. His most famous horse was Traveler. On April 10th, the day after the surrender at Appomattox, General Grant signed a parole paper allowing Lee and his officers to return to their homes without legal repercussions. On May 29, 1865, President Andrew Johnson issued a proclamation of amnesty and pardon to former Confederates. But this pardon was general, and Lee still needed to make a special application to the President for his pardon, which he did. But Lee died 5 years later before he was fully pardoned. Later, in 1975, under President Gerald Ford, the Senate Joint Resolution 23 was passed, restoring Lee's full U.S. citizenship, effective June 13, 1865. Well, that's all the time we have today. Hope you all learned a lot about the great General Robert E. Lee. In 1865, President Andrew Johnson issued a proclamation. Really? A squeaky toy? Okay. Lee lived in Arlington, Virginia. He's had what? Years in Arlington. Your finger's in the screen.
No, it's not.
Okay. What am I supposed to say? Okay. Wait. Well, whoop.
You can cut
Take
that
two.
out.